There's a whole lot of different communities that use this building, and I guess a general approach is that this felt like a big house. My name is Rachel Nolan. I'm from Kennedy Nolan Architects, and we're at Balam Balam Place. Balam Balam Place is in Brunswick, which is an inner city northern suburb of Melbourne, about 6 k's from the city. We came to City of Merri-bek as a team, and in that team were Kennedy Nolan Architects, Openwork and Finding Infinity. Balam Balam means white butterfly. Now, we were really lucky early days to work on the naming of this site with the Wurundjeri aunties. And the idea of the white butterfly implies that there's transformation, which is exactly what happens here. Things change and transform. There's a big history to this site. Post-colonial settlement, this site had an incredible kind of Italian mansion built in the 1880s. We were engaged by City of Merri-bek to make a new cultural and community hub on this site. We arrived here and was already kind of alive. We loved it because we could see how much soul was in this site. We understood how important it was to people, and they were making the most of what they had here, but we saw how much more it could be with better facilities. We had to think about heritage very carefully. There was a history with the central building where a lot of people weren't particularly fond of it. It was really about making less of the old building and less of the colonial history and more of the cultural history of the site. Together with Openwork, that was managed using garden, that the central building, the old building, was reframed, being surrounded by kind of moat of Indigenous planting, that in time that planting comes up and the building almost sinks into it, and the history of that building is reframed. There was also a school in the kind of 60s, and that cultural history of the school was quite a fond memory for a lot of people. And that school frame was kept on the northern end of the site to almost hold the site, but to also almost act as a stage or a portal into the site. It's fondly known as the steps. So the design thinking is that the buildings should not be the hero of this site. They should almost be the collaborator or the assistant, or they're here to help. This site needed to look like a kind of invitation or an opportunity to the community to come in and play. There's a kind of lightness about these buildings which make them not scary to walk into, and that was actually really important. Where we have used kind of evocative eyes on the outside of our building, we looked at these beautiful big shade factor blinds inside, almost like eyelids, which can protect the interiors from that kind of short, hard hit of east-facing sun in the morning. So it's quite kind of graphic inside. We used beautifully German-engineered shade factors Warima external automated blind on our east elevation, which gives us the flexibility for Black Dot Gallery in time if they ever wanted to open it up to the streets or shut it down. There's a tiered shingled lightweight facade above the Black Dot Gallery building, and then there's the other main building that sits on quite strong columns, which is a lightweight golden cladding. We used recycled brickwork also at ground level outside, which had come from demolished buildings on the site. The columns are all a beautiful kind of earthy red. The interiors are quite richly coloured, and again that earthiness is picked up. These big dotty floors and kind of ochre coloured walls. We used cork, we used Dura panel, we used materials that sometimes can feel maybe a bit more residential than municipal, so that you can feel like you're in a home situation rather than in a municipal building. It feels like this site is alive with things that you might not expect. And I think that's a really exciting thing about this place and the people who run it. Kimber Thompson running Black Dot Gallery, Millie and Joe from These Are the Projects We Do Together, is that anything could happen here.